Something really important to note here is that how they got these texts is because Jennifer McCabe willingly turned over her phone, said, take a look at anything you like, download whatever you want. Happy to help with this investigation into the killing of my friend, Officer John O'Keefe. So is Alan Jackson making any headway on this cross so far? Let's bring in our legal analyst guest this hour. I'm so pleased to have in the studio with me someone who I've admired his analysis for many years on Court TV, but never had the pleasure of having him on my show. Attorney Michael Jaafar in the studio. Welcome. Thank you for coming on this morning. I usually get to watch you in the afternoons, but it's a delight to have you here now. So in your opinion, you've got a lot of experience, Michael, doing criminal defense work. So looking at this and looking what Alan Jackson's doing, give us your assessment, please, of whether this has accomplished anything for the defense on the cross.
I don't, but I know what he's doing. They teach us in trial advocacy class when we're younger, right? If you have the law on your side, you argue the law. If you have the facts on your side, you argue the facts. If you have nothing, you just plain argue, right? So he's just plain arguing. At the end of the day, he's actually taking back, like he's taking some back roads with this case. This defendant right here, this witness that he's cross-examining, I think he's hurting himself. I think he's sullying his defense. I think he's going too aggressive. He's going too raw. She's coming off as a soccer mom, as a suburban mom. I think the jury every trial attorney knows their customer, right? I think that Alan Jackson thinks he's a little bit too confident that the jury in this case is going to be buying into the whole conspiracy hoax. I think he's trying to he's going too hard to create inconsistencies, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't think he's I don't think he's landing any punches. I think he's hurting himself. I think he's going too far. I think this cross-examination should have been 30 minutes. I don't think it should have been the several hours that it actually is. I think he's hurting himself.
Right. That's a really great point, Michael. Because the whole point of the cross, you attack what you need to attack, and then you get out. You sit down. You don't just attack things for the whole idea that, I feel like I need to say something. And here it seems like he's nitpicking. It seems like you have a witness. She comes off very honest to me. She did the first time, she is the second time, in my view. And it seems like here she's even saying, well, I might have used different words. It's been 2 years. Sure, I'll look at whatever you want. I think it's very clear this woman has nothing to hide. What risk is he running in front of the jury here if he keeps going? He's
already blown the risk. He's already hurt himself, because at the end of the day, what's the point? Is Jen McCabe part of the conspiracy? Did she conspire with Higgins and Brian Albert and the other 10 people at his house to kill her friend and cover it up? And what, she's making inconsistencies? Karen Read called her. Karen Read asked her to help look for him. She was brought into all this. What's his point? Does he actually think the jury are going to believe that Jen McCabe had anything to do with this conspiracy? And 2.5 years later, and no one has said anything, including Jen McCabe? Give me a break. This whole thing is a farce.
I'm with you, Michael, and I love that you've been so adamant about it. And we know that anyone with strong opinions pertaining to evidence that incriminates Karen Read, gets attacked, and oh my God, one side launches the attacks, not the other side. So, I appreciate you being so frank. I loved what you said the other day. You said it's more likely that Bigfoot committed this crime than this ridiculous conspiracy that's baseless. I think people forget, and you know this. There was no evidence of it. No, we still have yet to see. What's the evidence? It's a story. It's a great story, but
the reason I call it the Bigfoot theory is because it's more likely that Sasquatch himself killed John O'Keefe than these people killed. Because to believe that Bigfoot killed John O'Keefe, I only have to make one idiotic assumption, that Bigfoot exists and he has an axe to grind against John O'Keefe.
Right.
To believe their story, I have to make no less than 18 idiotic assumptions. 12 people in the house, all conspired. The EMS agents. Michael Proctor, who obviously is a pig, but Michael Proctor conspired. Who else did Santa Claus?
The dog,
and maybe Santa Claus brought the lights. Santa Claus must have been a part of it. So.
Right, all those people, police, prosecutors, EMT, everybody's against Karen Read.
Yeah.
It's a very narcissistic theory, if you ask me. We'll talk more about it. Michael Jaafar, so they're still on this sidebar. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to hit a break. Right, so while she reviews that document, I'm going to bring in our legal analyst guest in the studio with me. Trial attorney Michael Jaafar is here. Lots of experience doing criminal defense work you have. And so we saw those text messages shown to the jury. What, in your opinion, did they reveal?
I have no idea. I was watching. I don't know what he's doing. I think Alan Jackson's way out on a limb here, right? This cross-examination should have ended a long time ago. And now he's bringing up texts with her and her sister. This was the day after John O'Keefe, or the morning of John O'Keefe being found dead, their friend, and they're talking to the police. She probably went to sleep at 8 o'clock in the morning. She was woken up at 4 by Karen Read. I have no idea. This is too much. I think they are way too bought into what they did in the first trial. I think they're way too pot committed. I feel like he's got no choice but to really, really dig in deep. But I think he's doing it too much. I don't know what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like a big build-up. You had to chat with your family, and she's not denying anything. She's going, yeah, of course, I have a chat. It's my sister. I mean, this is just such a traumatic day. I keep thinking of the people involved. You know, it's one thing to look at a text and, you know, try to gather something, but I mean, they lost their friend. That was the morning. Jennifer McCabe is so close to this family, still is to this day. That was the morning that she's woken up out of bed, like you said, dragged to this scene, finding him in the blizzard. They don't know what's going on. At this point, Karen Read isn't charged. So I think that's another thing. You know, I believe it was like the next day or the day after they, you know, arrest her
Yes.
for this. So, I mean, Michael, I guess I can understand why they're like trying to figure out which way the wind is blowing here.
I think the conversation, if I was a fly on the wall in their war room, what they've said is, we hope that some jurors come in, essentially, that will buy into our theory. So to them, if I was his consultant, I would say, dude, you've got enough there. There's nothing really credible there, but if you are hoping that a juror would just buy into anything, you have enough there. Don't tie it, don't dig deep on this Jen McCabe thing. So that's why this Jen McCabe, I think all of their cross-examinations have just been innuendo and nothing solid. But the Jen McCabe thing, I think is going to take even a flat earth juror off the bench and put them in and say, hey, you know what, this is too much. I don't think anybody is going to relate to what Alan Jackson is doing here.
I'm in agreement with you, Michael. Great points. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to hit a break. Okay, so let's talk about this. I want to get some thoughts from our legal analyst guest in the studio. Attorney Michael Jaafar is here. Tell me what you're thinking as you're hearing these text messages read back. Jennifer McCabe's going through them. What kind of a picture is being painted for you, Mike?
I think Alan Jackson's trying to tie her in with the outbursts with everybody. I think he's trying to put them all into one cabal. I think that's going to blow up in his face, because at the end of the day, if you're a juror and if you sympathize with Jen McCabe, if you believe that she's honest and sincere, then Alan Jackson has tied everybody in to somebody who you like and you relate to. If he would have just stuck with just the Alberts and Higgins, that might have been something different. But I think he's trying to tie them in. I think this cross-examination is going too far.
Right. I feel like it may be falling a little bit flat, you know, at this point, because I mean, we're in day number 3 of her on the stand. You know, she's very forthcoming. It's not like she's hiding anything. You know, and again, these are people who went through a trauma. They're trying to ascertain the facts and the information. They don't know back then what we know today. Tell me, is there also a risk with him going too long on this that the jury could get disgusted with, even just the length of the cross?
Absolutely. The juror are aware of the fact that he's kind of an outsider. He's grilling Jen McCabe. She's already testified that she has MS. She's already testified that she's been open and honest. So at the end of the day, the risk of him going too far has already been, that was like a day and a half ago. So yes, I think he's gone too far, and the jurors, I mean, we're not in the room, but the jurors are there. Like, it's a small courtroom. They're sitting right next to Jen McCabe. She's like within, like, you know, people can reach her. So I think he's gone too far, and I think that the risk of him going too far is already a day and a half old.
Sure, Michael. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a fan of a precise cross. Get in, cross where you need to, and sit down. Tell me, what do you think about how Karen Read keeps turning around? When we see the split screen, she keeps swinging her chair around, looking in the back of the courtroom, looking at her client, talking to somebody in the back. What do you think the juror might think of that if they're sitting there watching her do that?
She's become a professional at body language in this courtroom, so and she's got a lot of practice.
Yeah.
I think that her demeanor, juror will either relate to it or not. But at the end of the day, I think that she, you know, I think they'll still have in their mind when she was interviewed about his mom and said she imitated her mom. I think that they will feel some kind of way about her, and her demeanor right now with Jen McCabe, I don't think is doing her any favors.
Right. Michael Jaafar, great having you in the studio. Thank you for the great analysis as always.